You go to the zoo, you go to the great ape enclosure, and you can look them in the eye. You can see this is something that is not so far different from us. You might wonder, well, what are they thinking?
A dirty war is a war that is waged by a government against its people. One of the aspects that we can look at when we think about dirty war are mass graves, disappearances, undeclared acts of warfare.
Signature classes are new courses at Rutgers, and they are designed to introduce a wide variety of subjects.
And they also talk about issues that are currently affecting the world, and we as students that we're going to have to deal with by the time we leave college.
With the signature classes, you get to see things differently.
Let's think first about Germany and what it looked like from their perspective after the war. Germany was called a semi-sovereign country. They were trying to kind of regain a reputation as being a good guy on the international field.
We look outside of our classroom and we discuss the global earth on a whole.
Signature courses undeniably speak to 21st century challenges.
We live in a world that is changing very, very, very rapidly around us. We're going to explore big questions.
For me, what's so exciting is the ability to take this big topic, for me it's war, and to think about it from all sorts of perspectives.
You get exposed to things that you never even knew they existed.
Every single time you go to class, you actually do learn something different.
We learned about the Vietnam War and the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but from the other people's perspective. The class definitely helped me feel more empathy for other people. It definitely helped me understand what they went through.
We talked about small ways that everybody can do something to help something that is going extinct in our world, whether it's animals or rainforests or even languages being crowded out by larger languages.
I think faculty got excited by it. There are always people in the discipline who want this to happen, who want more of these conversations.
I had people come in from cognitive science, food policy, somebody from economics, and got to talk to all of them and got to see what they had to say about these issues, and that was really interesting.
How many of you had a cheeseburger today? So you're thinking about your own personal benefit from that. Well, similarly, if you're a producer of those kinds of cheeseburgers, you're thinking about strictly the kind of costs that you incur when you're producing the product or providing it to a consumer.
I learned about what really goes into our food. Humans are becoming very, very detached to what they're eating.
It remains to be seen whether the world would finally sort of come to an agreement about how to address climate change and global warming.
We covered different aspects of globalization. We learned about the watershed crisis in China when we learned about the environmental issues, and we learned about Japanese pop culture when we learned about the cultural issues.
You need to ground these things and bring them together into a course that gets students really excited in a different way, that appeals to them, that really helps them to maybe think about this large question with relation to their everyday life. MIA was the daughter of one of the big leaders of the LTTE, the Liberation Tigers of Talil. For more than 40 years now, the Sri Lankan government has waged a war against the Tamil Tigers.
We had a lot of different mediums that we used. We had actually someone come in and play traditional Korean drums for us. That was really cool.
It was really interesting because it involved the crowd.
Because it was more engaging, you obviously remember the information better.
It's an opportunity for me to teach something that sort of stretches disciplinary boundaries.
New York City has a pretty aggressive Department of Health, and one of the things they're thinking about is implementing a soda tax. Prohibition, you can just disallow certain kinds of products. Back in the day, we did this with alcohol.
Professors really showed their care about the subjects and the students' involvement too, and how really the students feel. We actually are able to communicate with the professor during classes.
The number one thing that every United Nations delegate talks about is national sovereignty. We're the government in our country. We've been given the authority to do whatever we feel like within the bounds of our country, and you can't tell us what to do.
It was extraordinarily interesting to see how invested they are in the contents of the course. They're living, in a way, globalization.
I had people suddenly coming into my office and saying, well, I was deployed in Iraq. And to have them really push with questions and to get feedback and to come into these with incredible discussions was one part of the whole experience that was so exciting.
Recitation really pushed us to think about solutions to these problems.
I think we should look forward to energy that is more reproducible, cleaner, because if every country starts producing nuclear power, people don't have space to store the nuclear waste.
Uranium, it doesn't occur enough in our lifetime that it is a non-renewable energy source. I really like the lively debates that we had. This class is fantastic. It's an environment where it makes you think.
Being environmentally friendly costs developing countries in the short term. We need to be willing to make these sacrifices today for tomorrow.
People openly share their experiences. You get a feeling with that person, and you can make that bond.
So students know that when you go into a signature course, not only are you getting these big questions and these large themes, but there are also these possibilities.
I just want to reach out and I want to grab the students by the lapels if they have them, right? And just say, this stuff is amazing. It is mind-blowing, the world is amazing, and what you have the opportunity to see and study is amazing.
My dream is that 20 years from now, two Rutgers students meet each other on a train and one of them says to the other, "Did you ever take one of those signature courses?" And the other one says, "Oh, did I take a signature course?" And they have a conversation about the difference that the signature courses made in their lives. That's what we're about as teachers.
Just taking something that is a different kind of course with a different kind of setup, you get everything that Rutgers offers.
These courses have really affected my college experience.
I felt like they were more interesting than general courses, and I would definitely want to take them again.
There's definitely something for everybody. I would definitely recommend these courses to other students.